Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tim. Welcome back to the show. Today is an awesome episode because, we're trying to promote people in the community that are doing great things, difference makers, and we got one here for you today. She's her own business owner running a photography business called Kerry Dietz Photography, and she also has a nonprofit group called Revival for Recovery, and we're going to jump into both today because you're really making a difference within our community, and I wanted to highlight that. So Kerry Dietz, not Kerry Paradise anymore. Kerry Dietz, because she recently got married, so it's the same person. We're not talking about two different people. Kerry Dietz, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to talking with you, and I think it's really wonderful what you're doing in the community, bringing people together and getting them on the show to talk about things that they're doing in our community. I'm very, very fortunate to live in Harford County. I feel like we have a really great community here.
Isn't it great?
All very genuine people who are all just trying to help each other out, and that's all I'm trying to do.
I've been recently getting into networking groups, a couple, throughout the week or whatever, and it's just in a short amount of time how many people I've met and just how many people are doing great things. And again, Harford County is just a wonderful community of people that are just doing lots of great stuff, So give us a little bit of background as to who you are that has built you to what you're doing today.
Sure,
Yep.
Absolutely. I've been a local photographer in Harford County for 15 years.
Okay.
I do all weddings. I do wedding photography, newborns. I do headshots. I have a studio. I can come on site. I like to do a lot of outdoor sessions. Fall, obviously, is my busiest time of year because everybody wants all those pretty colors. But I really just do all photography at this point. I'll be honest with you, things aren't like they used to be. I've been doing this a very long time. So, I do see the changes, whether it be you want to say because of COVID or you want to say, I don't know, because of all these Apple iPhones are coming out. It's a challenge.
Sure.
I definitely don't have the business that I used to have before COVID. That's why I kind of have branched out and I'll go and do different events. I wouldn't normally shoot an event on a Wednesday night, but I got to feed my kids,
Yeah,
So,
sure, absolutely.
So we're just going to try to do what we can,
So business was better before COVID
Definitely.
than it was after COVID.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's interesting because so many people that I've interviewed have said quite the opposite, which you would have thought COVID would have just completely tanked somebody, but it didn't. It actually grew their business. But in your case, that's not the truth.
No, it's not. Doing the photography, and I had a studio. It was a really cool studio. It was like a barn studio off of Old Joppa Road back over there where the Harford Gymnastics is.
Yeah.
And I was there probably for about 3 years. We went in, renovated this barn, and it was super cool. But I had to go up there 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to fill the pellet stove with pellets, and I had to get the ductless vent on and get it heated up before the newborns would come, right?
Yeah.
There's a process, right?
Yeah, sure.
So doing that for 3 years, that got old, right? And it was always my dream to be on Main Street. Not really sure why. I just, in my head, being on Main Street in Bel Air, living in Harford County is going to be, a good step in the right direction.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Location, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we renovated the flower shop now. It's right next to Core Boot Camps in downtown Bel Air,
Yep.
across from the Bel Air Armory. Renovated the whole place, put a ton of money into it. It was breathtaking, really was. I walked in here and saw this place and was just wow. I mean, it was, the white walls, gray wall, had a waiting area. I mean, It was a huge studio. It was really special.
Right.
I had all my work hanging in the glass window. I mean, it was really a dream come true for me. So we opened March 6th.
Of which year?
Of 2020.
Oh, jeez.
And, the Downtown Bel Air Alliance came. I had photography clients of mine show up that I had no idea were going to show up. My family was there. My daughters were there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was it was really special. And they did a whole ribbon cutting. I mean, it was overwhelming, to be honest. I just wasn't expecting all that. And I was like, wow, this is really special. And then March 18th, I had to close.
Yep.
And so I couldn't take pictures. They even said something to me about when I would go outside and take pictures. I'm outside. I couldn't do that. So I didn't want to get in any trouble. So here I am, not being able to work.
Yep.
I got this, $1,500 rent payment, no income.
No income.
Homeschooling my daughters.
Wow.
My one daughter is special needs. She has Asperger's and ADHD.
Okay.
So we had got her in all her services when she was young. And then when she got to kindergarten, where she was all set up, ready to go, she had 6 months of kindergarten and then schools were closed.
Oh, my gosh.
And then she had her mom, homeschooling her. I'm not a teacher. I have a lot of patience, but that's just not my thing. I'm a very creative person. I love to be out in the community. I love to talk to people. So me being isolated and the whole world shutting down.
Yeah.
It was not good for anyone. And I've said this several times, children are the ones who suffered the most out of that.
Completely
100%.
agree. Yep.
So for me, being, not being able to go to the gym, not being able to go out in the community, not being able to work, not being able to take pictures, not being able to have that social, really, I took a hit. I didn't handle it well, unfortunately. Homeschooling them, and then, my studio closed, and just my parents unfortunately separated after 40 years of marriage, and my first dog I've ever had, I had to put down.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just not good for me.
2020 sucked.
It was not good.
Yeah.
And I'm a really outgoing, positive person. I try to stay very positive. I've been through a lot. I've had some, just like all of us have been through a lot. But I just try to keep a real positive, upbeat outlook on things, and just keep it moving, And this, I didn't do good with it. And so one of the reasons that I had started my nonprofit, Revival for Recovery, is because my drinking started to take off. Always liked to drink, always liked to have a good time, but this was got to the point where at the end, it was like I was drinking to survive, to be able to function.
Wow.
And never in a million years would I ever think that I would become that person. And that was the disease completely taking over me.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is when these people don't want to be addicts, they don't want to be alcoholics, it just happens to them. And then they're actually, using drugs or drinking to be able to function and be able to survive because they're so sick.
Did you feel like you were getting to that point where if you didn't drink that day, it was, you were kind of having some kind of withdrawal or anything like that?
Yeah, it got to that point at the end. But in the beginning, we were just all stuck in this neighborhood and, drinking and partying together, right? So it's just we're all having a good time. We can't do anything else. So everyone was drinking, you know? And I just happened to take it to the next level, unfortunately.
Okay.
It got to the point where I was drinking every 2 hours, and if I didn't, I was sick and I couldn't function. My anxiety was so bad. My depression was so bad. There would be times where I wouldn't get out of bed for days. And I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
I like to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I like to go to the gym. I like to start my day. I'm, go, go, go kind of girl. And for me, it paralyzed me.
Yeah.
I couldn't function. It was really scary, and I was in a really dark place, and I didn't know how to get help. I didn't know how to ask for help. And so, I had a couple episodes, would go to the Hartford Crisis Center, had a couple visits to Upper Chesapeake Hospital. And this went on for probably about a year.
Was there a defining turning point where it was just all right, now it's time to right the ship?
Try to be very vulnerable, and I try to be very, transparent when I talk to these different people that are in recovery, is because they think they're the only people. And I thought I was the only person. And I'm not saying the only person that's going through that. Just imagine what your family's going through, right?
Sure.
What I'm putting my daughters through. Chad, my ex-husband at the time, all these things that was happening. Dad, being down in Florida, knowing that something's going on with his daughter, that she's not acting right, putting people through that. When you're in that addiction, you don't care. People don't understand that. People that are on the other side of that don't understand how you couldn't care.
Right.
But you're just so sick, and your anxiety and depression is so bad that you're just looking to get rid of that, and you just want to be able to feel normal. And it is horrible.
Yeah.
It is horrible. And so I have a really big place in my heart for people in recovery. And one of the main reasons that I started my nonprofit is because I just want to pay it forward. Yeah. Something that was so easily given to me from others that are, in a program or in recovery. I want to be able to help other people like they helped me.
Right.
And, people just need some help. You know, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay. Everyone's got things. We all got issues. Yep. We all have things, grieving, people, a lot of mental health, especially after COVID. I mean, we had mental health issues before. We just never talked about it, And I do feel like now I do see that stigma is a lot better than it used to be. I will be honest with you. Yeah. It's more talked about now, even when I go to church, like Mountain Christian Church, Freedom Church, people were all talking about that kind of stuff there, you know what I mean? And it's very important.
Yeah, because you started off that by saying that this would be embarrassing, but really, just the words that you're saying right now could identify with somebody that is there's somebody out there that has the same similar feelings that I do, because a lot of times the anxiety and the depression are just built up inside, and percolating inside. And when you hear that, it's that's genuine, that's authenticity,
Yeah. And I try to be as authentic as possible. I mean, these people think that they're the only people going through that. They really honestly do. I mean, I thought I was the only one drinking in my closet, right? I'm the only one doing that, right? I'm like, I am such a piece of crap. I'm the only person that's in here. I can't believe I'm in here drinking Tito's vodka by myself. I'm such a loser, right? But then you talk about it and you share that story with other women, and then other women are like, I've been there, done that, or like sometimes you share your story and then they share their story back to you, and you're like, wow, like what an inspiration you are. Like you went through that. Like, and it's kind of like you're feeding off of each other. But if you're not talking about it, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So you gotta be vulnerable. You gotta, put that guard down and just let it out.
Right.
Really. Just let it out, really, honestly.
And what you think is going to maybe hurt is actually going to help you.
Yeah.
Letting down that guard.
Well, I'll give you an example. And I don't know if you were at the meeting, but I try to do like 2 networking meetings a week. And the one I go to on Thursday, I had this whole beautiful presentation put together for my photography business. And, what are you talking about for 30 minutes when you don't have a slideshow for photography? I mean, what am I talking about with photography? I had my MacBook, I had the cord, I had the clicker, I had everything that was supposed to be working for this thing. And nobody could get it to work. And it was just like the MacBook wasn't talking to the TV, and I couldn't get the presentation. And I remember when I was driving to the meeting in the morning, I was like, God, please let me do a good job with this presentation and let me deliver it well, kind of thing. And I got nothing. I got no slideshow. I put this whole thing together on Canva. I was all excited to show it. It's not working. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to do here. I'm going to wing it. And so I shared my story.
Yeah.
And I would never normally do something like that in a room full of just business people. I don't know all their stories, right?
Sure.
I do feel comfortable enough with that group on Thursdays to share it. No one really knew that story. I mean, they knew I had a nonprofit, but I just winged it. And I told it from the heart. And people were coming up to me crying afterwards and holding my hand, like, you're such an inspiration. Like, you have no idea. Like, my mom was like that, or you don't understand some of the chords that you struck today. Like, I'm really proud of you for being so vulnerable and sharing that.
Yeah.
And so since then, I feel like I've seen a little trend. Everyone's kind of getting up there and they're kind of talking about themselves a little bit more,
Yes.
Because I want to know what's going on with you. I am a very caring person. You know what I mean? You're not just like another number to me. When people would come, when people come for photo shoots, for their newborn shoots, like, I am like taking time to sit with them and like talk to them about their life and how was their delivery and like how many kids do you have and just like all the things, People just want to feel heard.
Yep.
And it doesn't happen enough, And when I'm a peer recovery specialist, and I do some work with Rage Against Addiction and chrysanthemum moms.
Yep.
And it's like, those women, when I listen to them, their like face lights up. They're like, you're like listening.
Yeah.
And now I'm just listening to them, and they just need someone to talk to. So just to circle back around to where that went.
Yeah, because really the question started out with your photography business, and then it just went down. And so hey, let's keep going. Let's keep going in this direction.
How much can you talk about photography, to be honest with you? Like, hey, listen, I need a lot more business. So if anybody wants to get a photo shoot, please hire me.
and we will certainly get you connected with those people as well. But certainly, again, it's that connection, right? It's that human element. It's the leading with your heart, not with the numbers or in real estate. It's like, we're just genuinely trying to look out for other people and make a difference. And when you lead through that way, everything else will come.
That's right.
But you don't lead with that expectation of getting $1 or whatever in return. It just happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's that law of attraction, the law of reciprocity, all those things. So at some point you said, I'm done with this.
Yeah, my rock bottom.
Your rock bottom. What was that rock bottom? And what was the person or thing that got you to start that first step to recovery?
Yep. So I, things that you say you'll never do, right? Like, like I would never go to the liquor store in the morning, and I went to the liquor store that morning and just decided to have my own little party. I was able to reopen my photography studio. I since then have closed it because the rent was
crazy.
Too much, and the business wasn't what like it should have been, and unfortunately. And so I needed help, and I called. I remember calling people that morning and like asking for help, and it had gotten to the point where now like I was just being annoying to people, right? Like they're tired of it. They're tired of, hearing from me kind of thing. And I called a friend of mine and I was just like, I need help. And I'm not proud of this, but I drove myself to the Hartford Crisis Center. And I was so intoxicated that they wouldn't actually take me there. I heard all this after the fact. So when I got to the Hartford Crisis Center, they called an ambulance and sent me over to Upper Chesapeake Hospital. I went in there on a Tuesday and I woke up there on a Thursday. I lost 2 days of my life. And I had an alcohol level of 0.43.
Oh, my lordy.
And I'm not a very big person, so I'm sure you can...
0.43, like one drink is 0.02 or something like that?
Yeah, I was basically, I was in a coma. I was basically dead. They can't believe I survived it. When I woke up, they shipped me right to Harbor of Grace rehab in Havre de Grace, Maryland. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Terrified, of course, missed my daughter's first day of school.
Yeah.
I have a mother who's an alcoholic, and she was terrible to me growing up. And, here I was like following in her footsteps. God had given me these 2 daughters, and here I was just letting everybody down, and it was letting myself down, and it was a real eye-opening experience. The therapist that was there, Eileen Thompson, was literally a miracle worker. She worked on all my trauma. Told me straight to my face, you're an alcoholic. No one had ever told me that before. I needed that. I didn't need anybody to pansy foot around it anymore. You know what I mean? I needed somebody to tell me straight up. And that's just how I am. Like, I know, just tell me what exactly I need to hear. And she helped me work on things from my childhood that, wow. And it was really eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
And you had to work through those things, right? And then it's in the past, right? Like, I'm not going to let my past control my future, right? But I was letting it. And I was just like reliving that whole thing. And so I went to rehab and that was it. I came home and I've never drank since then. It was August 18th was my sobriety date. So
beautiful.
August 18th, 2021. So I just celebrated 4 years of sobriety.
Oh my gosh.
That
is amazing.
And then with that comes like a whole different, world too, right? Because now I'm present and now I'm fully aware of like what's happening. Like when my daughter was younger, I advocated for her. I wasn't in my drinking then, and we would take her to like, speech therapy, occupational therapy, all her things on a Friday. I would spend my whole Friday taking her to all her therapies. And then here I am on the other side. Now I got myself together after that year of drinking or whatever.
Yes.
And, the IEP and like things that are not looking right for her. And I'm like, no, this isn't working. Like before, the past year,
kind of let it go
COVID
by the wayside and all that.
But then, we wound up pulling her from her school and putting her in private school, and she's a straight A student now, and like all these things, that I would have missed out on, right? That I would not have been paying attention to if I would have still been doing that. And just like the little things in life is, you really, really become so grateful because you took things for granted before, and now that I'm so clear-headed and I'm present, life is just so much more meaningful. Like even when you're driving, like noticing like the colors of the trees and like the birds chirping. I know that sounds silly, but
no, not at all.
It's a whole different. It's a beautiful world out there, and I was living with like a total fog,
just a darkness, over
my eyes. To come out on the other side of that, my daughters, will say like, "Mom, you can do anything. You got sober." I mean, when you hear your 13-year-old daughter say something like that to you, there's no coming back. You're never going back to that.
Has there ever been an urge?
No.
Not one time.
No.
That's beautiful.
My daughters are my reason. I have achieved so many things. We like to talk about it in our groups and stuff and joke around. But, I spend so much time like hiding bottles and, trying to figure things out that like now I have so much time on my hands that I can actually like be present and take care of certain things that I wouldn't have done before, I mean, it's the amount of effort and time that you spend like trying to figure out how you're going to not let people know you're drinking is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where it's just, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yep.
You're done. You're just like, I just can't even live like this anymore. But you have to experience that on your own. Like I can't sit here and talk to somebody who's in recovery, who's not willing to make that, put the effort in. It's a lot of work. You're talking to a sponsor, going to meetings, really working on yourself. pulling out
digging
like,
down in that dark past of
stuff,
yours.
your character defects, and
Yeah.
admitting all those things, and then you have to make amends with some of those people that you really hurt, and so making those phone calls or writing those letters or meeting up with those people and going to lunch, like that's a hard conversation. But
yeah.
you got to take responsibility,
Yeah.
because it is your fault. I
Right.
mean, that was my actions. I caused that,
Yep.
not on that other person. They were like pulling at straws trying to figure out how to make it work, and
Yep.
you were just destroying yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just been really rewarding. About 3 years ago, I started my nonprofit,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's certainly the next question I was going to ask you. But to acknowledge you is to say that there are people that have gone through significant traumas, things that we either were in their control or completely out of their control. They've gone through hell, and then somehow they climb, they rise up, and then they create something out of that hell that they've been through to then serve other people. And that's what you've done with Revival for Recovery.
yeah,
It's just such a great story to say. You could have taken all your problems as you were before. Woe is me. The world's against me.
Yep.
It's everybody else's fault. All that story time. But at some point, you said that story's false. This is what's genuinely going on. And now that you've, because not everybody gets out of that pit, unfortunately, but you have, and now you've started this organization. So, wow. Just wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is, so of course, Revival for Recovery is based on addiction, but tell us a little bit more about the organization and, what you guys do, what activities do you do, what
Sure.
can people experience, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I mainly work with women. There's a fine line there with the men and women that are in recovery. So I do just work with
Primarily women.
Yes.
Okay.
So if there's, my husband, Dustin, he's 4 years sober as well. So he works with the men. We do different donations. We collect clothing. We do a toy drive. We
Under
do
the same umbrella of Revival for Recovery?
Yeah.
Okay. That's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we'll go and deliver the clothes to like all the different sober living houses. So like he'll, sometimes I stop by and see Tony at the Man House, but like Dustin will go there.
Okay.
And we just kind of give to these different nonprofits in the community. So we really try to help like connecting the other nonprofits, right? So like if you have a sober living house and you have, let's just say like 7 women at that house, we're going to have an event at, Firefly Farm where we bring all these women together and we do a yoga, or we do someone's, is a speaker, and we bring these people together to, because they don't all know each other, right?
Yeah.
They're at this house or at that house, and we bring all these different women together for that sense of community.
Yeah. For
them to, not just talk to the people that they live with in that house, to talk to somebody who maybe lives in a Rage Against Addiction house, or somebody who lives in Lily house, and they kind of come together and they're like, wow, look at this. You're doing it. I'm doing it. This is amazing, right? Yeah. I remember when I was drinking, like I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to have a good time without drinking. I like to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I love creating events for people to come to that can have a good time and not drink. Right?
Right.
Now, listen, I'm not saying, especially recently, I'm sure there was some, people who had a problem with me having alcohol at the Revival for Recovery event, Courage to Rise at Rockfield Manor a couple weeks ago. But those people don't have a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. They don't understand how much it costs to run a nonprofit. I haven't made any money. If anything, I've lost money because I have a big heart.
Yep.
And, putting stuff on credit cards to provide different gift baskets and making sure these women feel special when they come to these events. Mm-hmm. And the events are open to men and women. So we did like a huge gift basket for men with a self-care basket and then one for women's, right? And you get donations from the community. But, as a nonprofit owner, it's never enough, right? You always want to make them, so you're buying extra gift cards to kind of stick in there for them and stuff. And, this was the first year I had alcohol at the event. So it was at Rockfield Manor, and we just had beer and wine because you have sponsors. This was my first year getting sponsorships. And listen, people aren't going, crazy here. It's respect.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
a respect issue, right? They're coming to hear speakers. People are speaking about their addiction. They're not going to be sitting back, throwing, 10 beers back.
You're not getting hammered at a recovery event. Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
But you also, they can have 1 or 2 drinks and be in a social environment, and that works for them. And if you don't feel comfortable coming to that event with there being beer or wine, and that's okay too. Listen, we're all We're all trying to make it work here. We're all in different areas of our recovery, but it's like you're going to go to a restaurant, right? And you're going to go out to eat with your family. Like these are hurdles that eventually you will have to get over. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I made sure it was completely separate. There was just the inside bar is the one that had the beer and wine, and outside was all non-alcoholic drinks, mocktails, water, sparkling waters, whatever. The first couple of years I never did have alcohol, and this year I did, and I got sponsors. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You gotta do that. I mean, it is what it is. And listen, other nonprofits, they all have beer and wine at their events too.
Sure.
I was trying to just like, okay, no beer and wine, but it didn't work, right? And like, I don't want my nonprofit to fail, right? Because I'm trying to provide services for all these people in the Hartford County community. So, I mean, when I say I work with just women, I do have these events where I said like men and women can come to. So I just want to make that clear because, but one-on-ones, like when I go do peer work, and I work with these women, I help them get jobs. I help them get uniforms. They get a new job and they can't afford a uniform. I pay for a uniform for them. That's just women. It's a woman in my car driving. I'm not driving men and doing that. There's that line there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is just with the women when it comes to that kind of stuff. I help with resources. I help them direct them where they need to go. Meetings, sober living, if they need to go to rehab. And I just have a real passion for it because I didn't have any help and I didn't know there was help. And now I know there's help. I want to be able to provide that help and gear people in the right direction for the resources that they need.
And you're partnering with other organizations too, like you were mentioning Rage Against Addiction. We actually had them on a podcast about a year or two ago.
Okay. I work with two of her sober living houses now, and it's just a really rewarding job. I do it because like when you see that light come back, I mean, I literally just got a text before I walked in here today. One of the girls I'm working with, and she got a job, and she's like, this is like the next step. Like I got a job. I'm like, that's right. That's awesome. Just seeing that light come back in their eyes, or like when you take them to go like, coddle Highland cows, or you take them to do yoga and get their body moving, or you have them do a boot camp and they're like, this was awesome. Like I would have never done that without you, and like they do it. Let's go get a coffee.
Well, I came to this revelation when I was at Firefly Farm last week, is that when you have a brush in your hand and you're brushing the Highland cow or the goats or
very therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic for you because you're like, you can't do that and think about your problems. You're completely focused on grooming the animal. And something about that just kind of comes over you, like this level of peace, and I felt that there, which was just incredible. So I could see how something like a Firefly Farm can help people that are in recovery just kind of get their minds off of their problems and focus on something else and giving of service to somebody else that improves your feeling inside.
It is just in nature, going for hikes, like we did a walk last spring and we had everyone meet at the Mom and Pa Trail. These women just are showing up and just going on this walk and they're just enjoying nature. It's something so simple like that, just to get your mind off of things, and bringing the community together to do that. I don't know if you know Laura Dow, but she has Bethesda Transformation Center, and she's got a beautiful property out there in like Street, Maryland.
Okay.
And I mean, when I went there, I mean, it was just so peaceful, right? Like, I mean, you just feel grounded, like Char Hope, another one out in Powellsville. They have the, people out there that, are in the program. They work on the farm and they have the program. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said about being outside, and I know Alex, she's building that inside part. I don't know if you saw that structure.
I did.
So we can still do stuff, in the wintertime there. So it's just wonderful. I mean, you got Stoneview Farm is another great place. We're going there on Friday. It's just, other partners in the community seeing that need and making it happen for us and being able to let us come bring people there.
Sure.
It is just incredible.
How often are you having events or meetings with people that are in the group?
So I do a free event once a month, but then I'll do like a pop-up one. It just kind of depends. Like, if I can get a place on like a Friday, like I'm having one this Friday, but it's normally once a month on a Sunday. Okay. And I do a lot of nonprofit photography. These nonprofits that have events, I do a lot of those events for them and, just to kind of give back, so it's kind of like, we're all.
And how has that helped your business?
Yeah. I mean, well, like you said, it's
you're not doing it with the intent of growing your business, but it just naturally happens. I think.
Well, you gotta, you're genuine, you have a big heart. People see that, I don't charge for those events that I shoot nonprofits. There's been people called me last minute and been like, hey, our photographer can't come.
Yeah.
We got this event. Can you show up? And I'm like, yeah, I'll show up. Fine. Maybe I'll get the next gig.
Yeah. Right. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know. Right.
Right. But how, that certainly is
it's all about paying for it.
That's differentiating yourself from other photographers in the
paying
community
it
too.
forward, really.
Right? I mean,
they got me doing some of the ribbon cuttings for the Harford County Chamber. It's just like, I love that kind of stuff. Anywhere I can kind of help out, I think it's good. More people need to be like that, right? I mean, look at this crazy world we live in, You don't know what the person behind you in the grocery store is going through,
Right.
Like I've been at Dunkin' Donuts and bought the person behind me a coffee. It's like made their day, right? You never know.
It's just a small acts of kindness. Random acts of kindness.
Random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
And, before my kids get out of the car in the morning, I say, be kind. The last words out of my mouth to them is be kind,
Man.
Be focused, be kind.
Yep. Yeah.
Those kids need to focus.
Because it's easy to be kind.
It is.
It's easy to be kind. And what you don't realize is when you're not kind, it's just a reflection of who you are as a person, not the person that you're directing it towards.
Yeah. It is. It is. It's something that you're lacking in yourself,
Exactly.
And that the only person that's going to change that is you.
Yeah. Look, you have somebody that's watching this right now, and they're just they're near their rock bottom, just where you were. They're losing hope. Like, what's the one thing that you want to communicate to them that
there is hope and there's help, and you have to reach out. And that first initial phone call is going to be hard, but it gets easier, right? It's no different than saying like that first Christmas not drinking was hard, or that first vacation was hard, right? Well, now I've done a bunch of them, right? So it's like nothing now, right? It's like starting a new job, going to school for the first time, how our kids are so young and they don't even, can't even. They're not mature enough to understand, like, I can handle this, right? So it's very overwhelming for a child to go to school. Well, where they are right now, they're so broken that they can't even think about that, right? They can't even think about making that phone call. But once they make the phone call, everything starts to fall into place. I like to tell people, like, my way didn't work, right? Kerry's way was not good. Kerry's way was not good, right? And so I'm going to listen to these other people because my way obviously doesn't work, and I have to give that up, right? And once you surrender that and you realize, like, what, my way doesn't work, and let somebody else help me out, that's okay. We're going to have someone help me. I need help, obviously. Just reaching out, really, honestly, and asking for help is the biggest thing, that biggest first step.
Well, I think with a lot of things, people see the whole staircase, but they only need to focus on the first step.
Yeah, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
That's right.
You did mention that certainly it costs a lot of money to keep these kinds of things going to help people.
Yeah.
You do have that big fundraiser that has already happened. Is there any other fundraisers coming up in the next year or other opportunities?
The fundraiser is normally September. So September is recovery month. So pretty much all the nonprofits in the recovery field do an event, right? And we try to raise money. But the other events throughout the year, like the coat drives and toy drives and stuff like that, we're just collecting toys and coats and clothing to provide for these families. So no, I don't. That's just my one big event that I have.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Do you get donations throughout the year from, say, your website or
different events that you're going to? It's on my website.
Okay.
You can.
You can donate on the website.
Okay. Yep, you can donate on the website. But no, I'm just here trying to help. Eventually, maybe.
And of course, when you have the events, you had the sponsors, which is certainly something that helps you raise more money than just a whole bunch of individuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
And what I found too is in our community, the small business community is just so giving.
The best.
Yeah.
I don't even mess with the big business.
Yeah, right.
I go right to the small business.
There you go.
I mean, I'm a small business, so.
Right, there you go. Yeah. So so certainly we've talked a lot about Revival for Recovery. What are ways that people can either connect with you or specials that you're doing? The holidays are coming up with your photography business.
Sure.
Let's plug a little bit of your photography business.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I have my Christmas mini sessions coming up. They're the first 3 weekends of November. I still have spots available. We're having an old time car. I've always done old time cars, and then I didn't do one last year, and I was like, got to go back to that. People love that. So that is the first 3 weekends of November, and then wedding season's coming up. Everyone gets engaged during the holidays, so I love doing weddings. I have a couple different second shooters that work for me, so I have a team of people. I have real passion for weddings because it's a lot of fun. I'm sober, so I'm fully there for you.
That's awesome.
And that's important, because, you don't want a photographer showing up that's not present, that's not paying attention, that's drinking while they're shooting your wedding, right? You want to have somebody that knows what they're doing.
100%, yes.
I don't get overwhelmed or stressed out when I shoot weddings. They come very natural to me. Same kind of thing. It's like, that first wedding I did was like, oh, so nerve-wracking. But now I've done so many weddings that like it just comes pretty natural. So I really just have fun with it and make people feel comfortable, because people hate getting their pictures taken. They really do, and making them laugh and trying to get them to feel comfortable and say, listen, look, I know, grabbing their kid and letting their kid use my camera and take a picture, it means a lot to people,
That's neat.
Yeah, it is. And love my, it's not really a job. My photography business is, it has always been a dream of mine to be a photographer since I was a little kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always. And you can ask my dad. And so for that to come, to reality is just, just a real blessing. It's just really, really special. So, yeah, anything I can do to help the community out, photograph events and pictures, family pictures, whatever you need. I'm your gal.
There you go. This is awesome, Kerry. I mean, I've met you, but I didn't know this whole part of your backstory, which is just such an inspiration, which I'm so glad that we were drawn towards each other to collaborate like this, and certainly we're going to be helping you guys out in the future.
Thank you.
So
appreciate it.
Absolutely. If people would like to connect with you, whether it's your socials, your website, your phone number, Drew's going to throw it up on the screen right about here.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, probably just text me.
Text you. Okay.
Yeah,
What's your phone number?
443-966-1288.
Okay.
And then my website is kerryparadisephotography.com.
Do you put your I'm sure you put a lot of your photography on your website. Do you use Instagram as well?
Yeah.
Because
Facebook,
certainly
Instagram,
people want to see quality.
all the things.
Yeah.
I do all the things. I do reels, videos. You got to. So not only am I a business owner, I'm also a marketing digital creator. I'm doing all these things.
As I am too. We were just talking about this right before you got here. We're like, am I the podcaster or the real estate agent?
Yeah, it's a lot, as you know. But I will say my Revival for Recovery website just got redone, and it's amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Somebody in our networking group did that, right?
Avery from Northwood Digital Services did it. Couldn't be happier with it. So it's revivalforrecovery.org.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely my pleasure. We got to help share this one out because it's just so important, especially for people that need help. That there is hope. And so I want to acknowledge you again just for the journey that you've been on and the ability to take that journey that wasn't always so great and turn it into something that's so beautiful. More people need to know about this, get behind you, support you, and help people that are going through the similar situations that you've gone through in the past. So follow us on social media at the Markland Advantage on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also listen to it on Apple and Spotify by searching the TMA Connection. Or if you're listening to this on Apple and Spotify, you can watch us on YouTube /.com/ at the Markland Advantage. I think I got that right. All right. Awesome. Kerry Dietz. Used to be Kerry Paradise. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But by the way, your pictures online were
Thank you.
Beautiful.
It was a really special day.
Yeah, I don't know how you took your own pictures.
Yeah, right.
How does the photographer take her own pictures?
That was Hannah down in Santa Rosa, Florida. She was incredible. Local girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I went with all local people down there. It was great.
Phenomenal. So until next time, folks, live your life to the fullest, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Did you like this episode of the TMA Connection? Well, you might want to check this one out right here. Go ahead, click it.